Hello, welcome back to the video lecture series for Introduction to the Art of Programming using Scala. In this video we're going to continue working on our implementation of the project. We're still in the chapter on polymorphism, but we're only going to hit polymorphism as it kind of crops up in the context of the project. So if we go and we look at the code that we have, we've mainly been working on our client, and where we had left off was that we have a GUI. It has a login, it has an exit, it has instructor options, and right now when we click login we activate the instructor options, which of course we can't do, and get a list of sections. And what I would like to do is I would make it like to make it so the login actually does a login for us by asking the user for their username and their password and then communicating over with the server to make sure that's valid. So the main code here is down inside of login. And first thing I want to do is ask for username and password. Validate username and password. And then if they're validated, then we can do this and other stuff here. And whatever else needs to happen at that point after they're logged in. So how do we get a username and a password? Well, the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to open a dialog box. And we're going to write our own dialog. After we've created it, I would have to make sure that I open it. Our dialog will have a title called login. I'm also going to make the dialog modal. And what that means is that when a modal dialog pops up, you're not allowed to click on the window behind it until you've closed the dialog box. Okay. We're outside of frame here. Okay. What else needs to go in here? Well, we need the contents. The dialog is like a mainframe. We need to set the contents on it, and the contents here, I'm going to use a grid panel. It's 3 rows and 1 column. The first row is going to be where it asks for the username, the second row is going to be where it asks for the password, and the third row is going to be where it has buttons for pressing stuff. So contents plus equals a new border panel. And I'm using a border panel because I want to have a simple label that says what they're typing in on the west. And then in the center, I want to put in a field that they will enter their information into. And I could create one here on the fly, but I need to be able to read out the text from this, so I want to give it a name. So let's make the username field as a new text field. I'm going to copy and paste that because in addition to the username field, I need a password field, which instead of using a simple text field, I'm going to use a password field. And so the second thing that I add into our dialog box is another border panel, but this one takes a password, and of course it adds the password field in there. The third thing I'm going to add is a new flow panel. And this flow panel is going to have 2 buttons in it. The first one is going to be the Done button. So what happens when you click Done? Well, I definitely want to close the window, the dialog, and I want to dispose of it. It's always a good idea. Now, for a mainframe, this doesn't matter because when you close a mainframe, everything goes away. But for all your other windows, when you close them, if you are done using them, you should dispose of them. Just like files, you're only allowed to have a certain number of windows open. I have another option here for cancel. And the difference between these is I need to add some code up in here that figures out what they've typed into the fields. And it needs to take those things and somehow get them down to here so that we can do our validation. So this is going to look, at least to start off with, something like if server main dot validate, how about I just do valid user, username, password. Well, then I would do these things. Okay. My server main currently doesn't have a valid user. I can easily enter that function. Make it so that it takes the user as a string and the password as a string and returns a Boolean. And at least right now we're going to say true, either true or false. We'll come back and we'll flesh that out to make sure that we remember. We can put in a to-do statement here, but we won't be going away from this too long. The problem is I don't have a username and a password. And so the easiest way to get the information from in here inside of the dialog box to down there would be to declare two vars. Username and password. And so that fixes our problem down here, except for the fact they don't have the data in them. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, if you click done, username equals username equals what? Well, it should be username field dot text. And what about the password? Password equals, now it's tempting to say it's password field dot text. Turns out if you actually try doing this, this won't work. This is blank. This is not how the password gives you back things. Instead, there's a password which gives you back an array of characters, and so we can call mkstring on that and stick it all together. Just to make sure this is working, how about we do a print line on username password. Let's run this. Now when we click login, window popped up to the side. We should definitely center it on the screen. Bob as a password of hi. And that works because right now our validate always returns true. Okay, and we got a printout out here of Bob and hi. So we are getting the data in there. Let's go ahead and center on screen for a dialog box. I need to make the server main valid user actually work. So right now this doesn't check anything because we don't have anything to check against. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to add a private var of users, which is going to be a list. It will be a list of users. It's actually going to be able to figure that out because I'm going to add two types of users, a new instructor and a new student. Whoops. And these need to take some arguments. So for example, the student takes the username, the full name, the password, and the ID, and then passes them through to user. Turns out instructor takes the same thing. So for our instructor, we'll go with the username of M. Lewis, full name of Mark Lewis, a password of superuser, and an ID of 001. For our student, we will go with J. Doe, with the name J. Doe. We'll give them the password of password. Hopefully no one watching this video ever uses a password named password. If you do, you should immediately run out and change it, because that is just a horrible thing to do. It's basically, might as well not even have a password on there. So now that we have some users, and of course in the future we'll want to read this in from file, and right now I could just add more as needed, but we can see that this figures out that it is a list of user. And so what do I need to do down here? Well, first I need to find the user that corresponds to the username that was passed in. So I want to find the user whose username is equal to user. And I'm just going to go ahead and match on this. Okay. Because the match gives me the pattern match. Remember, find does not return the object, it returns an option of the object. And for the simple reason that it is possible the result is none. Okay, that would be they gave us a username that's not one of our current two, gives us a username that's not valid. Well, then what should I return? Well, the way this is written right now, where it gives back a Boolean, I'm going to say that returns false. If instead we get a case, and this case, I'll say that it's on some. Actually, no, this, let's go ahead and I want to refactor. Let's see if we can do this real quick. I don't like the name user there. I'd much rather have the name there. That way I can call this user. So if we get back some user, then what's the result? Well, at that point the result is one of two things. It is either well, it depends on whether their password matches. Unfortunately, we have a check password method in the user that we can call. So if they actually typed in a username that matches one of our users, that will come down to here, and it will tell us whether or not that password matches, and there's validate user. So we can come back over here to our client main, and we can run this now. File M. Lewis. First, let's just do something that doesn't work. Hi. Okay. Nothing happened. Actually, that's not really ideal behavior either. Else dialog dot show message on null of the message login failed title. Login failed message type. Dialog dot message dot, this is just informing them of something, and technically we could call this a warning. I'm just going to call it an info, and I have no icon for it. Okay, so now if you type in something that is invalid, this, you should get a dialog box that pops up. Login M. Lewis hi. Login failed. Login M. Lewis superuser. Okay, that works fine. Notice that our instructor options came up, actually they came up with the failed one for hi, and let's log in as J. Doe. J. Doe is a password of password, and once again the instructor options come up. Okay, so that's something that we would like to fix. We'll stop this video here because we at least have the validating of the login. We've asked for the information. We only log you in if if you actually type in something that is correct according to the server. And so we'll come back and clean things up and make this work a little bit better in the next video.